Hi, my name's Lauren Penny from the Hockey Performance Academy, and in this video, I'm going to answer the question of how to prepare for trials. So, trials can be pretty daunting at times because we tend to put so much emphasis on this one particular selection. Okay, and so we start to get nervous, we start to doubt ourselves because we're focusing too much on the outcome. First thing you've got to think about is how much time do you actually have to prepare? So most people prepare at the last minute, the week before or 2 weeks before. They haven't been doing as much as they could be to prepare, and so they start to lose confidence. So I would say ideally 6 to 12 weeks is ideally what we're looking at. If you've got more than 12 weeks, that's cool. That just gives us a bit more time to work on the finer details of things as well. Okay, so make sure you plan ahead for the season ahead in terms of where you need to be at, so you give yourself enough time to prepare. From there, we would look at the 4 core pillars. Okay, so from a physical point of view, you need to have a structured plan that's preparing you for your season. This will include strength training. Okay, strength training is the foundation of everything physical and your athletic foundation. Okay, so it's really important that we're building that. We're correcting any muscular imbalances that you have before you start to add too heavy weights. Okay, and then we transform that into more explosive power. And then from there, obviously, we're working on more explosive speed and agility and very hockey-specific movements. From a skill point of view, really it's about mastering your basics. Okay, so make sure that the first touch is good, make sure your passing is good. Passing and receiving are the most 2 essential skills. Okay, if you look at the best hockey players, they're really good at very simple things. Okay, if you want to improve some of your skills for defenders, for example, you may want to look at things like your overhead. Strikers up front might want to be looking at your 3D skills for elimination, that kind of thing. So pick, for example, if you've got 6 weeks, you can pick a skill a week and you can really master that one skill, and that can be the focus for the week. Okay, from a tactical point of view, you could start having a look at video analysis. So depending on who you're trialing for, what kind of team, you can start having a look at some of the game footage, at who you're up against, or even just looking at your own game footage and having a look at your positioning, your leading. You can work on some vision training. There's loads of stuff that you can do there in terms of preparing. Often we just don't always know what to do. From a mental point of view, obviously we want to early on, we want to decide on what our goal is ultimately, and then set some smaller objectives that we can work on a weekly basis. Ongoing reflection is so important as well. So I always encourage my clients that I work with in my mentorship program and in my peak performance programs to give themselves kind of weekly objective planners to make sure that they're noting what the key things they want to work on, and then they're reflecting back on each week as well, so they can notice the improvements that they're doing too. So we look at very targeted, specific questions to make sure that we're monitoring those things. Okay, so obviously if you've got less than 6 weeks, most of your gains are actually going to come from your mental game. So your mental preparation, visualizing, you can refine your skills and you can get some fitness gains there, but really the mindset stuff is really so important. And as you get closer, if you haven't done the other work, that's where obviously our doubt starts to creep in as well. Okay, so obviously from a tactics point of view, we can look at positional stuff as well. But like I said, mental preparation is the absolute key, because if you've got the ability to do it but you're not doing it, so if you've got the skills and you're doing it, training under no pressure, and you're failing under pressure, then it's a mindset issue. Okay, and that can be a number of different things. You've got to look at, are you doing everything you can to prepare, first of all? Okay, second of all, understand your own self. Okay, so know your strengths and what you're good at. Too often we focus on everyone else and what everyone else is good at, and we're comparing apples and pears. Okay, so look at yourself and think about, what am I good at and what do I bring? What am I going to actually be noticed for? Okay, so don't just focus on your weaknesses. You also have to develop and maximize your strengths. It's so important that you do that, because that's what's going to get you noticed. And a lot of people forget to do that. Think about what you have to gain. Okay, a lot of people go in kind of fearing that they're not going to get selected and they're not going to make it. But instead, start to think about what you have to gain from that. So what would it be like if you got selected? How do you have to play? What kind of game do you have to play in order to play well? And that brings me on to my next point, which is to focus on the process. Okay, don't focus on getting selected. Focus on what you have to do well to get selected. Okay, so you can identify for yourself 1 or 2 or 3 key things that you've got to do well. Okay, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And then finally, remember to fuel your body well. Okay, so get the right nutrition, stay hydrated, make sure you're eating the right foods at the right times, at the right proportions, and this starts 48 hours before. Okay, so it's not just the meal before the trials, it's everything leading up to that, to make sure that the body is ready to perform and Obviously, everything that goes with it, it all kind of ties in. So we always look at the 4 core pillars in everything I talk about, because that kind of links everything together. So it's not just one thing, but I would say the big thing with trials often becomes a mental issue. Okay, so if you know you've got the ability, if you've done things really well before, but you find that you maybe shy away a little bit in trials, then it's probably a mindset issue. So if you do need some help, then you're welcome to apply for a free strategy session with me. We have a very informal chat. I'll just ask you a few questions to find out a bit more about where you're at and what the issues are. So if you're interested in finding out and getting more personalized information, request a free strategy session with me in the link below. Fill out the form and I'll be in touch to arrange a suitable time to have a chat. And hopefully this has helped you to understand some of the key things that we can be focusing on in order to prepare us for trials. If you have any other questions, get in touch. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.